culture. Culture is everything. Culture determines the future. And what you establish as your culture is going to determine, um, like I say, what future is available to the progeny of the present generation, present and past generations. So you want to create a culture of just wonderful things, and wonderful relationships with others as well, to ensure the prosperity of your offspring, uh, and to ensure the relationships that will come. This approach doesn't seem to have been taken, from what I can tell, just by viewing the world, um, and the historical record and what I can, and just taking in all the information I can. It doesn't seem as though this has been the approach. You've got a lot of perversions of goodness, of excellence, of wonderful things. Now, it does. There is some that comes through in some artistic venues, in some sports venues, in some military, in some science stuff. But overall, the culture that I've basically been swallowed by, and I'm not speaking of one in particular, I'm talking about a global culture, is really just one of uh, least common denominator, the one where you can get the most on board, and that includes a lot of people that aren't very good. And then they demonize like people that kind of demand excellence, um, and act as if those are bad people. Now I can understand if someone is making high demands of an individual while they themselves aren't having to even come close to what they're demanding others be. That's crap culture. Um, but like I said, it's if people are wanting like an uplifted society, one where people are becoming the best, what most people would consider the best versions of themselves, which is not, whereas they don't need locks on doors. People aren't being molested as children. People aren't being raped as adults. They're not having to just look over their shoulder every time. But this is exactly the world I find myself in. And even the ones that want to claim moral superiority um, are not morally superior, and extremely intolerant to criticism. Like if you've got a higher culture, what I would consider a higher culture, it should stand up to scrutiny. Um, and what they've done here is just demonize the critique. They just won't even allow it, and that comes in the form of like some major religious cultures. Um, some people try to make cultures around skin color, which is an asinine um, classification. Um, like you don't even have to be like you can live in a like a mono race culture with no exposure to like being in an isolated community where everyone is like the same color, and you will see just how ridiculous this idea is. Like, you will know that there's a difference between the people. At least where I am, there is. You know, because in some ways, even though I have lived in an integrated society, in other ways, it's been very segregated at the same time. And yet, through the segregation, I can even tell, hey, I'm not like the other, I'm different from this guy over here who's got the same classified skin tone as I do. I mean, it's just ridiculous. Um, So again, but these are the types of global cultures that are permeating throughout the population and have been and are actively being promoted. We can't have we that's not going to work going forward. I mean, that's obviously been a mistake, to say the least, of previous generations, and one I thought that was being corrected. And now to get to be past what they call midlife or in midlife, and then just seeing how it's been turbocharged, um, especially in the last decade, it's really hard to believe, because most normal people, I think, would recognize that it's a bogus classification to separate one by. But I mean, this is how the administration works, and it has worked for a long time. It's to divide and pit people against each other for essentially no reason. And like I said, race is just one of those categories. It comes in many different formats. But like I said, religion is another major avenue in which this is exploited to get people to dislike other people for really no reason. So these things need to be remedied in order for there to be any kind of positive culture. You might be able to have some kind of brief success with some isolated commune, but that my experience here has been one of it's hard to describe. It's hard for me to think of because I can think of several words, but I don't want to sound too cliche. But it has been a lot more difficult to gain knowledge and experience than it should have been, and the relationships have been very difficult. When they shouldn't have been. And major problems were created when there were no problems, and this was simply coming from the exterior. So, like, what I'm saying is, like, looking at everything in the past, I should be on an order of magnitude better person at this point, if not 2 magnitudes better. And I mean, just across the board: health, appearance, knowledge, organized mind, ability, skill set, everything. Like I say, at least an order of magnitude better than what I am right now. So let's just say that I've got 100 IQ. I guess it should be, relatively speaking, 1,000 or 10,000 possibly. Like I said, I'm almost 50. In an earlier video, I told you that I'm almost 50. So I should be a lot more intelligent at this stage, and like I say, a lot more skilled than I currently am. And so, like I say, if I'd have known, well, like if I'd have, it's just this case of like, you need a time machine, right? Because you know what you need to know. Like I know what I need to be knowledgeable in to a certain extent now, and the knowledge base is so vast, which includes multiple languages, as well as like a better understanding of mathematical and physical scientific concepts, as well as like fostering my creative side. And that's just, it was like the opposite of that was done through this whole time to send me into some type of bottleneck, erasing some skills that I had even when I was, that were being developed naturally as a child. So anyway, like I say, the culture is everything, and I don't understand. And the only reason that you would want something like this is if you were like knew that you were some type of mediocre to low level creature, and the only way for you, and in basically every way, including just your whole thought process of like just this, you can see it on display. They display it for you how they think, okay, and they claim to prize competition, but they really don't. They just use that as kind of a guise for I man, there's some big time cheating going on here. In ways you wouldn't believe, and they hide behind these words that they really don't believe in. They just pretend that they believe in these words while having a unbelievable set of cheats to utilize. And that's why this culture is created the way it is to allow the allow people to get somewhere without much effort, and while holding down, while suppressing what I would consider a talented. They target them. They target the talented. Also, like it, you see the flag in the background, the American flag, the United States flag, United States of America, whatever. And it's argued that people want to move, people want to move here because it's a better place. That's what they say all the time. But it seems more like people just want to move here because this is where the money's at, and it'll give them a better materialistic living, and through that, possibly a brighter future. But what's overlooked is the culture. Like, if people should want to come to your culture because they recognize it as a just a healthier place and want to assimilate. The reason, like, people, so they talk about the lack of assimilation to people from the so-called West, from other countries, and for whatever reason, they just don't respect um, the culture that they're moving into, which is why you see so many people waving foreign flags and just really coming into the country and just being like extremely disrespectful. Something I wouldn't do. I couldn't imagine myself doing in essentially any country. I mean, even a country that um, I just thought was absolutely ridiculous, which I can think of a few of their prevailing ideologies. I would still be respectful to the extent I could. Now, and wouldn't go there and do some of the things I've seen here, as well as I would try to learn the prevalent languages, which I do anyway. I study languages so that I can communicate with more people in their native language. So, but that's what I'm saying is, like, you should have a culture that people want to be a part of, and that's what we want to generate. And yet, it seems like there's a tremendous effort to make that not a thing. The thing that they do is they create an exclusivity to and through this exclusivity, keep people out from areas of influence, and so that the desire to be part of that group is not so much that you really admire that group. It's just the access that group has to stuff, I guess, or places of influence, um, socially, social power. And essentially, that's what the culture is, a culture of power, as opposed to a culture of excellence. And this persists basically um, throughout the globe. Now, people can, I'm sure there will be several people that possibly will be offended by that statement, but I'm the scientific community is a impressive community. At the same time, it's kind of not a community. It's just or I mean, more people would it's lacking something, it seems like. um so basically, if you can blend the physical, spiritual, scientific, and materialistic meaning creature comforts in a sensible way, as well, but not becoming weak. Um, that seems like a pretty good starting point, and a measure of respect for everyone, starting out, and through that as well, trust in one another, which is, I mean, these are things that I basically thought existed until I learned that, well, it's not here. And so I'm just wondering how my character, my inner spirit basically evolved or became what it did when the surroundings I find I've come to know are not that. It suggests that I'm not from the environment that I'm in. So yeah, it's kind of a weird thing. Which is further evidence to me of the nature of what I have always thought of as reality, that it is actually some type of false reality.